Pleasure to join Governor Cuomo, Majority Leader Dean Skelos, Suffolk County Executive Steve Malone, and our local colleagues from government, which I have the honor to introduce, Supervisor of North Hempstead, John Kamen, Mayor of Rockville Center, Fran Murray, Village of Hempstead Mayor, Wayne Hall, Stuart Rabinowitz, President, Hofstra University, and the Regional Economic Development Council co-chair. Suffolk County Legislator Wayne Horsley's with us. And Freeport Deputy Mayor Carmen Pinero. And also I want to acknowledge David Daly from PSE&G. Thank you. It's no secret to residents and businesses in Nassau County that a dramatic overhaul of LIPA is long overdue. The utility is simply broken and unable to provide Long Islanders with reliable emergency service. During Superstorm Sandy, we all witnessed firsthand the complete failure of LIPA's management to serve ratepayers in an effective manner. Governor Cuomo was with us day in and day out. On the ground here on Long Island, he witnessed the mismanagement firsthand. Even while the governor and state were stepping up to help Long Islanders, LIPA, by contrast, failed to communicate with Long Islanders and to live up to its basic responsibilities to ratepayers. Long Island ratepayers deserve better. Today, Governor Cuomo will sign a reform bill that ends the broken process that caused these problems and puts the decisions that affect ratepayers the most in the hands of experts in PSE&G. I commend Governor Cuomo for his leadership in restructuring the utility and thank him for his dedication to Long Island as we continue to recover and rebuild from Sandy. Clearly, correcting LIPA will not be as easy as flipping a switch, but today's marks the beginning of an overhaul that protects our residents. It's now my pleasure to introduce my good friend and colleague, County Executive Steve Malone.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here. I want to thank my colleague, County Executive Mangano, for his leadership during Superstorm Sandy. When that devastating storm struck Long Island, the governor was here with us on the ground on day one. In fact, he was here before the storm struck, helping to lead and coordinate preparations. He worked with us throughout the storm event, in the days after, and in the months after, making sure that we had everything that we needed, whether it was the equipment to help respond or basic necessities like food and water, blankets and clothing. The governor was there, and I want to thank him for his, what I think was an exemplary example of leadership during a crisis. But it was clear during that crisis that LIPA was not here for us as a region. In Suffolk, ratepayers couldn't get their lights back on in anywhere near a timely fashion, and LIPA seemed completely incapable of fixing the problems. We're grateful that the governor appointed the Moreland Commission, which backed up what we saw firsthand and revealed in depth some of the dysfunctions at the utility that we witnessed in real life. With this bill signing today, this utility will be reformed once and for all. Decisions regarding budgeting, operations, maintenance, storm preparation, response will be made by experts at PSE&G, a company that has a record of performance in storms and disasters. With these actions today, Governor Cuomo is creating a privatized operations structure that gives real responsibility, clear lines of accountability to PSE&G, and empowers the experts who actually know what they're doing. And on a personal level, Governor, I want to say that I'm confident with this bill signing that my days of camping out at LIPA substations will be over. And I thank you for that. And now I am pleased to introduce the Vice President of PSE&G and the individual who is leading the transition for the company. And I've met with him and members of the organization for a number of times, and I am confident that these are the individuals, these are the right people to lead this new utility. Please welcome Dave Daly.
Good morning. I'm honored to join Governor Cuomo and the other elected officials here this morning. The residents of Long Island and the Rockaways rightly expect their electric provider to deliver energy safely, reliably, and with an unrelenting focus on customer satisfaction. We look forward to the opportunity to bring this kind of service to the people of Long Island and to the Rockaways beginning on January 1st, 2014. There's more than 100 years of history, and it's a proud history at PSE&G behind that name and our customers that will come to know us here on Long Island. Embedded in our name, in our brand, is a reputation for providing the highest levels of reliability and customer satisfaction. This record has earned PSE&G numerous awards and recognition. PSE&G has been named America's most reliable utility in the nation 5 times in the last 8 years, and most reliable in the Mid-Atlantic region for the past 11 consecutive years. The Reliability One Award recognized PSE&G's excellence in overall electric reliability, storm restoration, and overall process management. Last year, J.D. Power and Associates ranked PSE&G customers among the most satisfied electric customers in the Eastern region. These honors reflect a core commitment to customer service and superior performance. When Superstorm Sandy and the Nor'easter tested us over a 2-week period last fall, the men and women of PSE&G worked tirelessly to implement the meticulous plans that were in place to restore power to more customers than in any storm in our history or in the history of any utility. PSE&G's storm response efforts are cited as a model for the utility industry. The Edison Electric Institute awarded PSE&G its prestigious Emergency Response Award for the prompt restoration during Sandy of nearly 1.9 million customers, as well as for outstanding storm management practices, especially communicating effectively with the public. Previously, PSE&G received similar awards for Hurricane Irene and the subsequent flooding that occurred in 2011. This is the reputation and the commitment that we bring with us to Long Island. Our Long Island-based team is already hard at work making sure we're ready to deliver on this commitment for the people of Long Island and the Rockaways. We look forward to continuing working with the governor, his team, legislators, elected officials, and all who have a stake in providing outstanding service for Long Island and Rockaways customers. Governor Cuomo, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your trust in us. We welcome this opportunity to help bring about a new day for Long Island and Rockaway Electric customers. Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to introduce Assemblyman Sweeney.
Good morning. As we've already heard, Sandy provided a lot of impetus for legislation that we're here to celebrate today, but I can tell you that for as long as I can remember, if you wanted to rev up a Long Island or raise LIPA or LILCO as an issue and ask them what they think. So Sandy may have been the immediate impetus, but it's not the only reason why we're here today. There's a long history that this legislation addresses. And in fact, this legislation brings immediate reforms to LIPA, stabilizes rates, and provides the framework for a better electric utility in the future. LIPA will now have a professional regulator in the new department, Long Island office of the Department of Public Services, that will provide an accountability that has been missing for a very long time and is so badly needed. LIPA's commitment to energy efficiency and renewables at its current level, and LIPA has really been a leader in this throughout the state of New York, that's going to be enshrined in this new law. With review from the Department of Public Service, LIPA and PSE&G Long Island will be required to craft a comprehensive emergency response plan that will not repeat the mistakes of Hurricane Sandy. And a review of future rates by the new department will be open and transparent and provide for public hearings in both Nassau County and Suffolk County. And finally, LIPA will begin the process of refinancing some of its debt and committing to bringing down this debt in a responsible manner, something else we haven't seen at LIPA over the years. So rate stability, accountability, and better storm preparedness are the key parts of this new law, and I want to thank Governor Cuomo for his leadership on this issue. You know, I have to say that over the years, I think LIPA has sometimes been treated as more of a political entity than a professional utility operation. This bill, under the governor's leadership, changes that and shifts it more in the direction of a professional utility operation. And that is what is so badly needed. And it wouldn't be happening if not for the leadership of Governor Cuomo. So I am very grateful for that. Governor, thank you very much, and very pleased to recognize also my Assembly colleagues who are here today, who supported this legislation. I see Assemblyman Chuck Levine and Assemblywoman Deputy Speaker Earlene Hooper, Harvey Wiesenberg, Phil Ramos, Tom McKevitt, and Joe Saladino, all of whom we were all very pleased stand up and support this legislation, Governor. Thank you for your leadership.
Good morning. It's great to welcome you back to Long Island, Governor Cuomo. Let me start off by recognizing the senators that are here. We have Senator Campanin, Senator Phil Boyle, Senator Chuck Fuschillo, and Senator Jack Martins. We thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to join with us. Governor Cuomo, we spent a lot of time together after Hurricane Sandy. We spent a lot of time in Albany working on legislation, early budget, doing what we felt was right for the people of the state. But defining moment for the governor and also for our local government officials, Ed Mangano and Steve Ballone, was the fact that they worked together so closely, not as Republicans or Democrats, but seeing a tragedy that was hitting our communities, people losing their homes, not having power for 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, and coming together to restore the life and quality of life that people deserve and want here on Long Island. But it could not have happened without the efforts of our governor. And again, as I said, this wasn't a Republican issue, this wasn't a Democrat issue, this wasn't trying to get a leg up on somebody. That happens sometimes, occasionally in our business. It was really about restoring the people's faith in government and also restoring their lives as quickly as possible. After about 3 or 4 days of the governor returning to Long Island, he said to me, you know, Dean, it's not working. The way LIPA is functioning, the way people are serviced, rates, reliability, transparency, it's just not working. And I agreed with him. And many of our colleagues agreed also. But the issue wasn't just seeing a problem. Our job as elected officials under the leadership of the governor is to solve problems, not just to point to where there's a problem. And I say this so often to people, you come to me with a problem, well, let's figure out how we can fix it. And for a number of months, probably over 6 months, the governor and Larry Schwartz, who's here, and so many others, we worked very closely, had some disagreements, but the bottom line is we wanted to restore the people's faith in the utility, and also that government has recognized the problem that exists. So this legislation that has been put forward by the governor, I think will go a long way, as Bob Sweeney said, talking about reliability of energy, affordability, transparency in the utility, and government oversight. This has all been provided in this legislation. And it could not have happened unless our governor stepped forward and took the bold steps. And sometimes you have to take a chance when you're governing. And he took a chance, we worked together, and today Governor Cuomo will be signing legislation that will benefit the over 3 million people that reside on Long Island. So, Governor, again, thank you very much for your leadership, and I welcome you here to Long Island, not handing out water, but signing great legislation. Our Governor, Governor Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. First to our host this morning, County Executive Mangano. Pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your leadership. Talking about Hurricane Sandy and thinking back to those days, it was one of those situations where you see the strengths and you see the weaknesses of systems and of individuals. And County Executive Mangano, County Executive Bellone, myself, Senator Skelos, the legislators, we were all together and we really got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And County Executive Mangano and County Executive Bellone really stepped up to the plate. They did a magnificent job. Let's give them both a round of applause. County Executive Bellone, I learned something new about last week. You think you know someone. I invited, by the way, all of the respective officials to come to the Adirondacks for a whitewater rafting challenge. Now, some accepted, some were smart and refused. County Executive Bellone accepted, came up. I have to tell you, he is quite the whitewater rafter. When he has a paddle in his hand, stay away from him, he is dangerous. But give him another round of applause, County Executive Bellone. Assemblyman Sweeney, thank you very much, and thank all your colleagues for being here. Thank you very much. Thank you for the hard work on this bill. Senator Skelos' comments were exactly on point, I think. This was a difficult problem, and it was a more difficult solution to find. And sometimes in government, on the tough ones, it's easier to stay silent. And LIPA was one of those tough ones for many, many years. Sort of defied solution. Senator Skelos is exactly right. Everybody would tell you the same thing. It's terrible, something has to be done. But nothing was done. Year after year after year after year. So Senator Skelos' point is right. We knew that something had to be done. But we also knew that we were actually going to make it happen and we were going to get it done. And that was the difference. We were willing to take on a tough issue and work it through to find a solution. We've talked about government working in Albany over the past 2.5 years. We tend to talk about passing budgets, passing laws, avoiding gridlock. But this is another snapshot of government working. We came together, different political parties, different ideologies. We sat around the table. We spent weeks and weeks and weeks working it through to come up with a good solution. And that's what we're signing today. And I want to thank Senator Skelos, the Senate colleagues, and my Assembly colleagues. Let's give them another round of applause. Also, my team, I had two individuals who really worked extraordinarily hard, Richard Kaufman and Larry Schwartz, who've been working on this for months, and I'd like to recognize them and give them a round of applause. My Italian grandfather had a word that would sum up today, God rest his soul. He would say, finalmente, he would say, finalmente. Finalmente means finally in Italian, but it's the way he would say it. He would say finalmente, which was half out of disgust and half out of relief. That's the word for today. Finalmente, finally, half out of disgust and half out of relief. This should have been done a long, long time ago. LIPA was wasteful, was expensive, and was incompetent. And that, my friends, is a bad combination of things in almost any occupation. It's especially bad when you're a utility company. And they were that way for a long, long, long time. Bureaucracy begets bureaucracy. And that's what LIPA is a case study in. Started as a small entity, was supposed to basically be a holding company. It grew, it grew, it grew. It became a political beast unto itself, and it multiplied. And it got bigger, and it got bigger, and it got bigger. Today, we go back to a system that should have existed a long time ago. And Assemblyman Sweeney is exactly right. First, we have a real operator running a utility company, which sounds like it should be common sense, but that's not what we had. LIPA was running a utility company. LIPA is not an organization of utility professionals. LIPA, to me, is more a bunch of politicians, and that's very nice. I'm a politician, I like politicians. But if you want to run a utility company, it would be nice to know that you knew something about utility companies. And they were unqualified to run the utility company. PSE&G is the exact opposite. They're one of the most acclaimed utility operators in this country, literally. And they've been exquisite in their performance in this region. So if you want a utility company that is proficient in what they do and they have the expertise in what they do, that is PSE&G. Second, they are, to the extent we can predict, less expensive than LIPA. The contract we signed today basically has a 3-year rate freeze, including this year. So there's a rate freeze. LIPA was planning on increasing the rate next year. That's not going to happen. So they're not only better, but they're actually less expensive. Third, we're going to start to pay down, really, the LIPA debt, which should have been done a long, long time ago. Why? Because the high rates are not just bad for homeowners. That's bad enough. But it also cripples Long Island. Because as Professor Rabinowitz will tell you, one of the main items when you're trying to attract business to come to Long Island or keep businesses on Long Island is the cost of power. And we have extraordinarily high costs of electricity, cost of power. And that hurts us in keeping and attracting businesses, which actually further increases the rate. So getting down that LIPA debt, it's significant for homeowners, certainly, and ratepayers. It's also significant to the economy of Long Island overall. We also will have an organization that is competent when it comes to storm management and preparation for storm management and knows how to handle an emergency. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be more storms, and it doesn't mean that the lights won't go out on occasion. When the wind blows, a tree falls, it hits a wire, the wire comes down, someone's power goes out. So we're not saying today that PSE&G, there'll never be another person without power. Of course there will be. If somebody is without power, call County Executive Ed Mangano at 917. It will happen again. The question is, do you have a competent organization that has been preparing for that circumstance and a competent organization that can get you through the emergency and then the rebuilding reconstruction phase as soon as possible? And that is PSE&G. So in terms of a qualified operator that is of lower cost, that will be better in an emergency situation, that is what we're accomplishing today. I don't know that we could have gotten anything more done in this situation. I again want to applaud my colleagues in the legislature for making it happen. My last point is this. We had a conference last week in Albany on the communities that were hit by Hurricane Sandy. And we brought all the communities to Albany, and we had a day-long conference on how do you take the experience and make a positive out of it. Life gives you lemons, how do you make lemonade? You get knocked on your rear end, how do you get up and learn from it and be better for it and be stronger for it? And the challenge on this Hurricane Sandy is how do you rebuild not just what was, but use the opportunity to build it back better than it was before. We have federal money coming in, we have state money, we have local money, we have volunteer organizations. We don't want to just rebuild what was there before. We don't want to replace. We're going to go through all this aggravation, time, resources, make it better, make it better. That's the challenge on Hurricane Sandy. And we're doing that in communities all across this state. This is a silver lining to Hurricane Sandy. It took Hurricane Sandy to make today a reality. I believe that. I believe the energy generated by that hurricane actually turned out to have a silver lining today by ending the LIPA tragedy that went on for too long. And Senator Skelos, and County Executive Mangano, and County Executive Ballone, and I were together too many nights during that storm, where we sat around card tables with flashlights looking at maps, trying to figure out where the substations were. As bad as you thought it was actually worse. And I think all Long Island knew that was the straw that broke the camel's back. You're right, when you make a change, there can't be certainty. And people get anxious when you make change. And the status quo has an energy to preserve itself. That storm said, enough is enough. And we have to go a different way, and we have to go a different way now, because this can make a significant difference in terms of people's lives and public safety. So, with all the tragedy we've gone through with Hurricane Sandy, we are going to rebuild our communities back better and stronger than before. And we thank Hurricane Sandy for ending this tragedy of LIPA. Finally, finally, finally. Finalmente. Let's sign the bill and let's make it a reality. Thank you. Smile, boys, smile. Look at that, the color. No, you look good. Where's your paddle, Steve? I'll never see you the same way again. That's right.
At least I didn't fall in the water like Larry.
It's true.
Everyone, we can't see you, sir. Oops. I mean, you were okay there, Justine. Okay, here we go.
Who won the race? Who won the race?
Oh, let me guess.
Not County Executive Bologna. I don't want to say who. Why don't we join me up here? Do you want to join me up here, gentlemen? Can we get him on the other side? I see why now. You ready?
There you go.
Okay. See how easy that was?